Hello fellow Earthlings, it's Libs, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in February. Okay, so last month I think I ended up reading 11 books, and this month wasn't quite as successful. I've read 5 books so far, but I think by the actual end of the month I will have finished 6. But I won't talk about the 6th book yet because I haven't finished it yet. But I'm filming this video a little bit early because I know exactly what video is coming out next week. So you'll have to wait for that one to see the other book that I will hopefully I will finish this month. I'm going on to Storygraph and I'm going to find all my stats for the month. So this month I've read 1,471 pages. The majority of the books I've read are reflective and mysterious. I gave 1 3-star, 2 4 stars, and 2 5 stars. So maybe I'll start with the 3-star book. So the 3-star book is one that I only read for a video coming out soon, and that is Dubliners by James Joyce. This is a short story collection written in about 1916-ish, and the only thing really connecting all the short stories is the fact that all the characters live in Dublin. Some of the stories were quite interesting. I distinctly preferred the ones written about female characters. They seem to, I don't know, be a bit more complex and interesting, whereas a lot of the that was scary. Let's not do that again. My phone case it's been broken for a while and I'm waiting for a new phone case to arrive. In the meantime, apparently my phone will just fly out of the phone case whenever it wants to. So this is a stressful time for me. Anyway, the male characters in this book tend to be very angry and miserable in their lives, and it's just not a very fun thing to be reading about. So there was some bits where the writing was really great, but overall it was just a bit meh for me, and I'm not really intrigued enough to pick up another James Joyce, I don't think. So it was fine. It was a short story collection, 3 stars. It was average for me. A book that was not average was Assembly by Natasha Brown. This is a teeny tiny literary novel that's 112 pages. It's tiny. It's about this woman whose family originally came from Jamaica, and it's about her assimilating in her life to England and getting the corporate capitalist job and dating the man whose family owns like a manor house and has been like really high up the ladder in just English society forever. And I don't know what else to tell you about this book. It very much reminds me of Ali Smith, which I can always appreciate. It's kind of just her traveling to her boyfriend's parents' house and considering all these things that have happened in her life and trying to come to terms with herself and her own identity. It was brilliant. It's a really brilliantly written book. It was perhaps a little bit more abstract than what I personally enjoy, which is why I gave it 4 stars. I think it could have been a little bit longer as well to explore some of the themes and ideas a little bit more. But it was great. I really enjoyed this book. And the other 4-star book I read this month was Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sugimura and translated by Philip Gabriel. I read this for my reading BookTuber's favourite books from 2021 video, so if you want to see a lot more of my thoughts, watch that video. This was such a great book. I really, really enjoyed it. It's about this young girl who has stopped going to school, and one day her mirror starts glowing. She goes through the mirror and she meets 6 other children who, for whatever reason, are also not going to school. And they also meet the Wolf Queen, who is this little girl with a wolf mask, who tells them they have essentially 10 months where they can travel to this castle and they can do whatever they want there. But their main mission is kind of to find a key, and the key will unlock a room that will grant them, or one of the children, one wish. But if someone's wish is granted, they all forget about the castle. It's brilliant. It's definitely more of a YA book as opposed to an adult book, which is kind of how it's been marketed, at least here. But I think it's a wonderful book. It really focuses on the mental health of young people, and I loved it. It is a bit of a slow burn, but if you like a bit of light fantasy, I think you'll really be into this. And then I actually have 2 5-star reads. This year is definitely seeming to be on a better track than last year for finding 5-star books. I only had 9 books last year that I really, really loved. I'm excited that at the end of February I have 4 now, so this bodes well. So the first 5-star book is one I actually finished today, and that is As You Wish: Inconceivable Tales from the Making of the Princess Bride by Cary Elwes. Anyway, he played Wesley in The Princess Bride, and this book is all about kind of his experience making the film. I listened to the audiobook. I would definitely recommend doing that because lots of the actors and people behind the scenes of the film actually take part in the audiobook, and they'll read out like their sections, and it was just such a fun time. I love The Princess Bride. It's one of my favorite movies. I've written essays on it for uni. I love finding out more behind the scenes things, and particularly hearing like the love everyone has for Andre the Giant. It was just such a wonderful book. I would highly recommend this if you're into the movie at all. And the final book I read this month was In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, which is actually a thriller mystery book, which is something I don't read a lot of. This book has been so popular. I've seen so many people talking about it. I was going to read it for my Booktuber's Favorite Books video, but instead I chose another book. But I was mainly because the wait list at the library for this book was so long, but it finally came through, and so I read it this month. It's the story of this woman in her early 30s going back to her going back to her college, like homecoming reunion, and she was part of this really popular group in college, and there were 7 of them, and towards the end of their college experience, one of the members of the group is murdered, and everyone suspects that the partner was the killer, but there was never enough evidence, so they were never charged, or it never went to trial. And now as she goes back, the sibling of the person who was murdered really wants to figure out which member of the group was the killer. And the story goes back in time to when these people were in college, and then also at the reunion. It's definitely kind of gave me like Pretty Little Liars season 2 vibes, but in a really, really good way. It was like Pretty Little Liars, but done right. Everything was there, like all the information you needed to kind of guess what was going to happen was there. You could find the trail, and I love that. I like being able to guess what's going on in a thriller, because if it's completely out of left field, it's not fun because you couldn't see it coming and it doesn't make sense. So I really, really loved this book. It's not the most amazing writing in the world, but it's just such a fun experience. And if you're into thrillers that don't take themselves too seriously, I think you're going to absolutely love this one. So those are all the books I read in February. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.